Welcome to Tommy Solo's Famous Friends. This is a shameless plugs edition. We're here today with Terry Draper. Welcome back to the show, Terry. And when I say shameless plugs, that's because you have yet another new project. It's not exactly new. This is the Lost 80s Tapes, Social Studies. This is a duo that you did way back when with Jacqueline Kroft. So, first of all, what happened? How did these tapes get lost? And what was the process of recording the whole thing in the first place?
Well, they didn't actually get lost, Tommy. They got buried.
Ah,
More to the point, but the buried tapes just didn't have the same ring as the mystery of the lost 80s tapes. These songs were done in 83, 84. I met Jackie, actually. We dated back in the 60s. I remember a fond memory of mine is her and I hitchhiking down to Sam the Record Man at Yonge and Dundas and buying Led Zeppelin 2 the day it came out. And then we went back to her place and smoked hashish and listened to it. I don't know if I could say that out loud.
it's legal here now. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, not down here though. I got to be careful. I'm in Florida. Anyway, so I've known Jackie for a very long time. And then we went our separate ways. And as luck would have it, I bumped into her in the early 80s in Yorkville. She was doing some piano bar. And I didn't even, when I knew her in the 60s, I didn't even know she played music. But she was like, she studied conservatory piano and stuff like that. Anyway, so it was like she played me some of her songs. We got together, and I really liked what she was doing. It was very hip at the time, Madonna, Blondie type stuff. And I was right into Culture Club at the time, of all things. I actually went to see them at Maple Leaf Gardens when Karma Chameleon was number one. So I had an affinity for what she was doing to some degree. And so the two of us embarked on this little journey with my 8-track Tascam half-inch tape machine. Excuse me. And one of the tracks we striped so that we could drive my computer, which was an Apple III at the time, so that we could do some sequencing and whatnot with multi-tracking synths without using up all our tracks. But and then they were mastered. I use that word loosely. They were mixed down to cassette. That was my end line at the time. I didn't have a 2-track machine or a DAT player or a CD recorder at the time. So the tapes are mixed to cassette. The fidelity's not great, but here we are in a new world with new technology. And I used one of those programs online that separates the tracks. So now I could separate everything and then, EQ the bass to make it a little tougher. And I could fix the drums. I was using a drumulator drum machine, which I didn't like very much, but what were my options with an 8-track recorder? And everybody was using the Lindrum at that time anyway. But so in some cases, I kept the drums. In some cases, I replaced them because I have that option now. And I got rid of the cheesy string violin sounds and put, real like sampled strings and tweaked it up. And Jackie's performances in the vocal department were really good. She had a bit of Kate Bush going on in her voice and some Madonna. The tracks unfortunately were a little pitchy, and and that when you're trying to push yourself and excel and reach higher than higher than you can, this is what happens. But new technology comes along, I can tweak all that. That's a little pitchy. Let me go in and fix that note, which I did. And so I found these 11 songs, and and played with them and had a new album in 30 days versus what normally takes me a year because everything was already done. I just had to manipulate it. And Jackie was a model at the time, as well as playing music. And we did a photo shoot together, hence the cover of the album with this pretty funky picture of me. This is the only time you'll catch me wearing mascara, Tommy.
Well, that's your story. I guess
Yeah.
you're gonna stick
Yeah.
with it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. We
For
don't know what goes on
non-believer.
behind. Yeah, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors down in Florida. As they say, what happens in Florida stays there, right? So this is interesting because you had a project that was done, and due to the technology back then, it wasn't quite up to snuff. And now, all these years later, you developed all these awesome engineering skills and you fixed it, and it sounds great. I mean, it's described somewhere. I saw it described as Europop, and I think I said to you the other day that if Debbie Harry and Belinda Carlisle and Human League had a baby, it would be this album. So congrats, you were going for that 80s thing, revitalizing it, whatever, and it's definitely there. And the videos that I've seen, they're right there. It's like the early days of MTV and Much Music for Canadian fans.
That's Jamie Grant, Tommy. He's been doing my videos for quite a while, and he offered to do three for this album, and I was thrilled. And Jackie loves them too. He does great work, and he manages to capture the vibe, and all his videos look different. So, but these three have a similar look about them, and so does the booklet that I made, the digital booklet. He sent me the pictures. I said, find me some pictures, and here's the 11 song titles. Send me, and he sent me these pictures that are all in the same vein, and turned out really cool. It was an interesting project. It's like doing a bit of house cleaning. These tapes have been laying around for 40 years in a pile of cassettes, two songs here, one song over there. So yeah, buried is the right word. I had to go digging, and I managed to resurrect this little project. It was fun, actually, to
Well, from
revisit and see how this was like 2 years after Klaatu broke up. So I still been writing and recording, but still in that sort of prog rock headspace, pop thing. So this was a left turn for me, and I had a great deal of fun. I was inspired by her. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and I think you can hear that in her voice.
I was going to say that this is definitely a departure from your usual prog pop. Why don't we take a minute now and give the fans a look at a promo video?
Good idea.
I want you more, 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 more. It took a little while, but now I've got to know. Walking through my dream with your intentions, the only one. Everybody has a story about their love and glory. Come on and tell me.
Well, like I said, that's some quality stuff, man. So kudos to digging this stuff up and solving the mystery of what happened to those lost tapes. This is some pretty good stuff, and for boomers like me, it's kind of a fun ride, man, because you just don't hear stuff like that on the radio anymore.
Bit of
So
nostalgia.
exactly, it's nostalgic, and of course, it gave you a good excuse to put your engineering skills to use and patch this thing up and make it into a really nice polished apple, if you will. So I know you're still in Florida, and this is where you go for your inspiration, among other things. What's coming up for you?
What's coming up for me? Actually, a couple of things. I have begun work on a new album, and that's always the case. That just doesn't stop whether I want it to or not. This got in the way a bit, this social studies project. I had to take a couple months and dig these tapes out and play with them and all that. So the new album might be delayed till next year. We'll see. But I have 3 or 4 songs already recorded, and I'm working on them. I'm quite pleased with them. And I need some more, obviously. But in the meantime, Jamie Grant, the fellow that does the videos, and he has played on a lot of my albums, is a singer-songwriter in his own right, and he wants to put an album out of songs written by me and him and I should say, and put a CD out of some works that we've done together. Not necessarily co-writing, but I'll work on his song, he works on mine, and we'll put this package together that sort of sounds similar. And he's a little more off the wall than I am, so that'll be fun. A lot more latitude. I'm kind of stickler for stuff being non-discordant and musical and melodic. And Jamie doesn't care so much. So there's a bit of latitude coming my way. And so that could be a fun project too. I think he's wants to call it Draper Grant at the moment. But that's on the back burner, and a new album, as always, is simmering away over there in the corner, and I'm putzing with it. But that's it. I'm getting ready to head back to Canada. I think the weather's starting to turn, and it might be safe for me to come home.
Yeah, things are starting to look pretty good weather-wise up here. Yeah. So this is interesting. You're growing in your senior years here, expanding and stretching and growing. Wow. Well, kudos, and we're very much looking forward to everything new. In the meanwhile, we have social studies available at terrydraper.com. And I spoke to you, what, 2 months ago about In the Beginning.
Yeah,
So
that came out at just before Christmas, early December, I think.
right. Yeah. So more than 2 months ago, but it's not that long ago. So I'm glad to hear, and I'm sure the fans are glad to hear that you're staying busy. And we're definitely going to look forward to everything new that comes from Terry Draper and friends. So once again, I know you've got things to do. I won't tie you up all day. Thanks again for taking the time to do this with me, Terry. And until next time, cheers.
Thanks, Tommy. It's good to be on the Tommy Solo Show.
My pleasure.
Ciao.
Tommy Solo's Famous Friends is a one-man production, meaning that I've done all the work, including recording, editing, guest acquisition, etc. And hey, here's some news. We've just recently joined forces with 519 Magazine, so you can check out my interviews there as well. The theme song for Tommy Solo's Famous Friends is a clip from my original composition, The Burn, all rights reserved. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to help us keep it going, why don't you click on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, cheers.